This video is my opinion. This is from Steve Thomas's book. Unexpectedly, a witness stepped forward and broke both his silence and John Ramsey's story about the timing of the discovery of JonBenet's body. Stuart Long said that John Ramsey climbed into a van with him and John Andrew and told them that JonBenet was with Beth now. The father and son broke down in tears as John Ramsey described how he had discovered the body around 11 o'clock that morning. We had just found a credible witness who heard John Ramsey say he discovered the body 2 hours earlier than we previously believed. That punched a big hole in the generally accepted timeline. 11 o'clock would have been just about the time John Ramsey temporarily vanished from the sight of Detective Arndt, when she thought he had gone out to get the mail. I recalled how Arndt described the marked change in his behavior after he came back, silent, brooding, and nervous. John found the body before 11 a.m. and kept quiet about it. To understand why he did that, you have to understand he had been encountering Patsy for some time and not dealing with it well. It is difficult to deal with people with personality disorders, particularly when they are close members of the family. I use this analogy to illustrate. The flashing neon sign in John's mind pointing to Patsy saying there is something seriously wrong here had been going off for some time, and John ignored it. His mind was trying to add 2 plus 2, but John was not going to 4 because 4 meant that there was something seriously wrong with his trophy wife. John did that day what he had been doing for some time. Patsy screamed and showed him the note. She was in full histrionic display, and the sign was going off in his head pointing to Patsy, and he ignored it. He read the note and tried to put 2 and 2 together, but he was not going to 4. Police arrived, friends and family arrived, time passed, and just before 11 a.m., he found the body. John opened the door to the small room, saw the body, dropped to his knees, took the duct tape off, and removed one ligature loop from one arm. The worst-case scenario set in. She was dead. John stood up, closed the door, and his mind stopped. He was no longer even trying to add 2 plus 2. And just as important, time stopped for him. He was repressing and self-deluding. He returned to the proceedings as if nothing had happened and behaved the way Detective Arndt reported. Time passed. Detective Arndt said, "Search the house again." John went directly to the place the delusion started to complete it, and just as important, went back to the time it started. He opened the door to the small room and found the body. He began to behave as if the intruder kidnapping scenario was real. He brought the body upstairs and joined Patsy in a parallel course, having never talked to her about it. And he has been in that state of mind ever since, supported by lawyers, money, corruption in Boulder, and an ignorant media and church. John Ramsey is guilty of obstruction of justice in finding the body and not reporting it, and then fake finding it 2 hours later. He is technically guilty of lying to investigators, but in fact was under the influence of spontaneous repression and self-delusion. John did not act to defend and protect Patsy. He acted to defend and protect the shaky house of cards his mental and emotional state had become following the death of his daughter Beth. John said he looked at Patsy and didn't see someone evil enough to do what was done to JonBenet. The term evil is a mythopoetic term. The scientific term for evil is asocial, antisocial, sociopathic, and psychopathic behavior. I doubt John ever read up on that or found it in his Bible. If you want to catch the psychotic killer, you have to think like a psychotic.